Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Calling in reinforcements!
What you've just seen there, dear viewer, was me getting completely annihilated in the name of liberty and democracy. Today, we are talking Helldivers 2. Before we dive in, let's first discuss what is Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is a 4-player co-op PvE game where you fight either bots called the automatons or bugs called the terminids, while having a certain objective to complete on top of that. You are dropped onto a planet with your rifle in hand and are free to roam the planet with your team, choosing which objective you want to tackle first. To help you with your mission, you have your stratagems, which is the support of your Destroyer and Eagle 1. Objectives can differ depending on which faction you're fighting, but will almost always include you killing something, blowing something up, or waiting for something to finish uploading or escaping. Got that? Good. Let's get to diving. Performance-wise, Helldivers 2 runs pretty solidly. All the footage you see was filmed on a PC with a Ryzen 5 3600 and an RTX 3060 with 16 gigs of RAM on medium to high settings. The game kept a solid 60 FPS, frequently dipping into the 40 to 30 area when there was a really big horde of enemies, or I played on a map that had a lot of weather effects such as fire tornadoes or blizzard storms. And with that part out of the way, let's get into the fun part, the gameplay. As mentioned previously, Helldivers 2 is a 4-player PvE game where 4 players attempt to complete a series of objectives while fighting off hordes of enemies, be it robots or bugs. Before you drop into the action, you gotta deck out your Helldiver with some good looking armor that has a light, medium, and a heavy category. And each armor set, as of writing this review, can have one of 8 passive abilities, and one new that got introduced with the Viper Commando Premium Warbond. Along with that, you have to choose a toy to play with. They can be large and hard-hitting, or sometimes small and hard-hitting. Those are your primary and secondary weapons. Primaries have a light and a medium armor penetration, as well as explosive damage, arc damage, and charging weapons. Pick whichever strikes your fancy or coordinate with your team. After that comes the most fun part of the game, picking your stratagems. Depending on the mission difficulty, you will have to tailor your choices by the mission you're playing to get the most out of your stratagems, but let's be real, we all know why we're here. The stratagems are the bread and butter of the entire Helldivers 2 experience, and going through every stratagem and explaining what they do, we'd be here the entire day. But some of them include and are not limited to the Eagle Strafe Run, also known as the Freedom Inc. The upright down, I will not sugarcoat it, is a 500 kilogram nuclear bomb that what the Geneva Convention doesn't know can't hurt them, Orbital Gas Strike, and the Burst Rocket. You will die to it at some point. And now you, fellow diver, armed with this information, are ready to dive into the action. Dropping onto the planet, you will see a bunch of red spots on the map. Those are either automaton factories or terminid nests, depending which enemy faction you're playing against. Along with factories or nests, you have your primary objectives, which are marked in orange, and roaming the map you can also find points of interest such as secret bunkers with requisition slips, medals, or even super credits. You can also find side objectives which can be done for some additional XP, and they are marked as light blue icons on the map indicating what type of objective it is. Roaming around you will soon encounter something called samples, which are very, very important if you wish to make your stratagems even more hard-hitting, as those are used for upgrading your Super Destroyer armament or Eagle 1 weapons. They are broken down into common, rare, and super rare samples, with super rare samples appearing once you reach difficulty tier 6 and above. One very important detail that is, once you die with samples, they are dropped, much like my self-esteem dropped recording for this video. Respawning, you need to go back and pick them up and extract with them if you want them to stay. Finishing a mission does not require all the Helldivers to extract because lore-wise, you are just a soldier. There are thousands if not millions of you, so the game rewards you with slips and medals regardless if you extracted as long as the mission is completed. The only difference being the amount of currency you get, as one of the side objectives is all divers extract. Finishing a mission, you get a star rating that symbolizes how well you did that mission, as well as show you what objectives you did and what objectives you missed so you know for next time. Along with that, you're rewarded XP, medals, and slips for upgrading and buying new stratagems, and higher the difficulty, the bigger that percentage bonus gets. And speaking of percentage bonuses and upgrades, I think it's time we move on to the progression. So, the progression system. It might seem a bit odd for newer players as it is not as linear as some other games have it. Going into the requisition tab that is on the top of your screen, you will see something called War Bonds. That is your progression system. It is a sort of wannabe battle pass, but it also isn't because you don't earn stuff as you play. You gotta unlock it yourself using the currency called medals. And I think that's neat because the game puts all the control of unlocks into the player's hands. Where in games such as COD, you have to grind a weapon you hate or don't enjoy using just so you can get a weapon you want, here you just play the game. Playing the game you get medals, and the number of medals changes with difficulty of course, and you can complete a set of 3 missions in a sector of the planet, and you will get more medals for each objective you complete. And I think that's good because it doesn't feel like a grind, like you need to sell your soul to actually get all the good stuff and continuously play the same missions over and over again. And I think that's good progression because you play the game, you get currency, and with that currency you get to choose what you want to buy. Diving onto the planets themselves, I would like to discuss the maps of this game. There is a good variety of planets, from snowy planets with blizzards every so often to scorching hot ones with fire tornadoes making your weapons that use cooling instead of reloading heat up faster and cool down slower. And I think that is pretty cool. The environment impacts how you play and makes you think before you just randomly pick a weapon and drop in. However, I do have my gripes with the maps in the game. First of all, you see this? Yeah, there's nothing here, and the majority of planets are like this. The weather is the only thing that makes the difference. Some planets have trees and jungles, which are unfortunately few and far between, and in my opinion the most fun planets to play on. Other than that, it's just sand or snow or rock with nothing there. Just flat or rocky terrain. Yes, I am aware that enemies can break terrain such as rocks, but I don't know how long do you expect me to be entertained by a charger running at me through a rock and knocking me on my ass. First time, okay, scary. Second time, okay, fine, I'll accept it. Third time, I already made peace with my gods and all the super rare samples I had on me. There needs to be some more variety. It's a huge map. Like, give us something to traverse it faster. Like one of those destroyed dune buggies you find. Or even better, give us a tank. A tank on a map that has to be operated by 2 players. Make it move slightly faster than the player running speed. And I think it would make tank v tank battles with automatons so much more fun as opposed to just tossing an orbital rail cannon strike at it. Utilizing the maps more than just dropping us on the same terrain but in different colors and different weather effects. And I think aside from that, it does give us some cinematic shots like this one. But aside from that, I think we should move on to the live service. This game does live service right. The game is constantly evolving and the story of the world keeps updating through major orders and new premium war bonds. We just got a new one called Viper Commando, which is very much Vietnam themed, and as far as the story goes, at the time of recording this, we just saved a bunch of kids from Vernon Wells, and the studio itself donated money to children in need as a direct consequence of our victory. And this is one of the examples why live service works for this game. You get to see how the galaxy evolves with the actions of the players. In one part of the story, the Terminids colony was growing so rapidly on a planet that Super Earth had no choice but to turn the entire planet into a black hole. And with that, we got a new objective, some relatively new terrain, and a new way to play that objective. Finishing the major order, we saw the planet collapse in on itself, and it's just a black hole there. Only for people on Reddit to point out that, hey, we might have actually fucked up very, very badly, because this ain't no normal black hole, and now that's a gateway that lets the developers introduce the old new enemy faction that they've been teasing, because according to some sources, we just sent a colony right to their front door, and I don't think they're too happy about that. And I would say only time will tell what's in store for Helldivers. But of course, tied to the live service also comes... I'm all out of money! I made a habit for every game I buy to check if it has a store or in-game purchases, which most games nowadays do. And if it does, how is the price? Helldivers 2, I would say, restored some of my faith in microtransactions, as bad as they might be. Helldivers does sell premium war bonds, which are basically a premium battle pass. For most games, they do sell cosmetics like armor and helmets, but I would say that's it. And you want to know something that makes me even more happy? The armor pieces are 5 euros a pop. Full set of armor, 6 euros a pop. Battle pass, which I have to preface this, does not expire. There is no buy now and finish it in a month or your shit is gone. No. There is buy it and play as long as you need to unlock it all, and that battle pass, mind you, is 10 euros, which is an average price for other battle passes in other games. Going into the currency tab, I was expecting to be able to buy something along the lines of 10 grand super credits for like 100 euros or 90 euros, but guess what? You can only buy around 2,000 credits for 19.99. For that money, I can get a battle pass and buy out the entire store rotation for that day. And you know what that money gets you in an EA or an Activision AAA title? One fucking bundle. And sometimes not even that. On top of that, you can earn premium credits by finding them on the map. So there is a way for you to earn super credits and not having to buy them. But even if you decide you don't want to spend money on the game, that's also fine. The free war bond has enough content to unlock that you don't feel like you're underperforming compared to people who have other war bonds. Because after all, the breaker shotgun is free. Finally, to wrap this whole review up, I think Helldivers 2 is a major step in the right direction, both in gameplay and fun that could be had here. The live service, which is actually actively live and evolves constantly, all the way up to its monetization. If you get a chance, I highly recommend you play this game, even if it's for a full price tag of 40 euros. The community is friendly, the community managers on Discord update the player base on the happenings of the game, and actually listens to its player base, which is always a breath of fresh air in this industry. If you're looking for some casual, over-the-top action and want to feel like the main character in a movie, then I would say this game is definitely for you. That's been it from me, fellow divers. Stay safe and dive responsibly.